Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else, to RDE Light versus Invulnerables. What a banger of a first game that was. A 10,000 gold lead down to a 1,000 gold lead, and then back again to clutch the win for Invulnerables. I'm still Dark Soul Steer here with Anifar, and Anifar, we have at least one more game like that.
At least one more, if not two. This game was absolutely hectic. Everything that should have happened past the 20-minute mark really didn't. There were Barons being stolen. There were dragons that didn't end up mattering. There was just a lot of back and forth, a lot of fun in the end by both of these teams. And what we have learned about these teams is that either of them can actually take the win if they just focus on punishing mistakes more than actually trying to reach out for something else. And we'll see if Invulnerables can keep up the early game. We'll see if Rising Dawn can keep up the turtling. We'll see if the papers can actually be inverted this time. We'll see if they can actually try to be more proactive in this early game, because that would be very interesting. And they can actually start to do so with a couple of power picks since they are on the blue side.
They are indeed. And just to touch on what you were saying, so our script for this game is play with tempered aggression, punish mistakes, get power picks. So we'll see if they do that in game, but what they could start off with is pick and ban. The same actual bans coming through from Invulnerables so far in the Jinx and the Urgot, taking away the Shen, the Nidalee like last time, and now the Graves. They don't want Finry on that pick again.
Yeah, they did adapt this time. It is a Graves here, and I do see a Teemo there. I'm gonna pretend
That's gonna be a proxy pick, anyway.
I'm gonna expect it to be a play, so it could be an actual pick because, okay, it's Lux. It is not Teemo in the end. So Lux is very strong right now. She got a couple of buffs before the preseason that made her an absolute menace. With First Strike right now, she can actually be stronger in the terms of laning phase. Even as a support, First Strike can be used to escalate leads, to try to generate even more gold without the CS part. So that could be an option. At the same time, the Lux can also go towards the solo lane. She can also use that First Strike, or even the Shadow Flame, as we saw raining in the first game, can be used by her to great extents.
Yeah, a lot of those mages in the middle lane will go towards that Shadow Flame. It's just, as you said during the break, it just seems so powerful.
Yeah.
Even if it's maybe on paper, it's not the most powerful item we've ever seen in League. And once again, Lonar gets his Draven. I think maybe that's a little bit weird that they gave over the Draven, respecting the Shen a little bit too much, perhaps. The Nidalee had to be banned away from Finry, his most played champion this season, as well as that Draven for Lonar. So gotta be keeping my eye on that bottom lane, see how that plays out, especially if it's paired up with the Nautilus or something like that. Again, can snowball to 3-4 early kills like we saw the last time. But they have a Trundle to combat the Hecarim, and they also have a Leona for engage.
Yeah, they have a lot of engage, a lot of lockdown, and I think that is very much necessary into a Draven specifically. The Trundle can utilize those choke points to his advantage. He can try to pick off Lonar whenever he wants to. Leona, she basically does the same, especially with the long-range engage that can be brought upon through the Solar Flare. So those are very effective ways to deal with a hyper carry like the Draven. So I do believe the Draven ban maybe wasn't that warranted. In the end, the Graves and the Yone were way harder to kill. But at the same time, it is Lonar. He was playing like an absolute beast in the first game. And now that he's not going to go against the Caitlyn, maybe he can start being proactive inside of the laning phase.
Yeah, perhaps, but we'll see what he will be up against. If it's something safe like the Ezreal, then maybe it'll be a little bit more difficult for him to actually find any purchase in the lane. But the bans keep coming out. The LeBlanc being banned away on the side of RDE Light. Taking that away from Loftition, but the Vex still up once again if he wants to kind of run it back. We have another few control mages. We have the Karma, actually, if he wants to go for something that has a little bit more utility like we saw from RDE Light in the last game.
Camille could still come out here for Invulnerables as a fourth pick, and they could try to counter the mid lane pick. But with the Lux being here for probably a Base, it doesn't make sense for them to blind pick top lane. They could just give the counter pick towards Loftitian onto the Lux. Vex would be great against the control mages, as we've said before. She can actually bypass most of what the Lux can bring in terms of range and just close the gap right afterwards. Echo could also be an option in that regard. One of the other battle mages who is usually also picked into those control mages in the mid lane, because he can actually utilize that range. He can utilize the cooldowns to get in whenever he wants to. Or the Silas, the third battle mage of the great trifecta that can punish the Lux very, very effectively, even lore-wise.
I was just about to say, just like the Riot cinematic where you had to fight against Garen and Lux, but Lux in the end I think took the win. So maybe, hopefully for Loftitian, not really going to be too much into the lore gameplay wise. So it will be that Silas into the Lux in the middle lane. Are you to carry Corki, or is it a placeholder?
I'm actually a Lux top lane.
I'm actually a fan of AD carry Corki, not as much now as I was before the preseason and maybe before the item changes. I was saying for quite a while, especially on Twitter, saying AD carry Corki is kind of sleeper OP, and then people started picking up for a few weeks, and I was like, thank God, they finally started picking up, started getting some wins, but I don't think it's it. Not in this composition.
Then what would it be, Lux bottom lane?
No, it has to be Corki bottom lane with Lux mid.
But Corki is pretty good into Silas. He can punish him pretty effectively.
Lux bottom lane is so troll.
I mean, you know, we've seen mages work in the bot lane.
Oh no, Draven's killed me.
Well, yeah, but she can still outrange the Draven. She can still outdamage the Draven. The moment she gets Shadow Flame, it really doesn't matter. And we do see the Annie. I'm expecting that to be a placeholder. It's a Gnar. Okay, it's a Gnar towards Chaos Senpai to fight into the Darius. It's very hard for the Darius to actually try to pressure that way. But at the same time, the Corki was a good adaptation here from the side of RDE.
You don't sound so sure.
If I see this Corki going mid lane, I'm very sure that this was good. If I don't, I don't know. We're gonna have to see. Also, please be patient out there because we are remaking the champion select. As we know, we had a couple of placeholders being put, so we'll see exactly where this Corki ends up going. But I do want to see it into the Silas to try to punish throughout that early game, to try to spike as fast as you can with the Manamune and the Immortal Shield Bow. While in the bot lane, the Lux can not only outrange the Draven, she can also be a very dangerous killing combo with the Leona.
Alright, we'll see if it's going to be the Anifar special in that bottom lane, or if it's going to be something where I'm just like, you know what, I've been talking about this for the last couple of years, maybe we can make it a reality. We have seen it in slightly higher tier competitive, but we haven't really seen a resurgence of AD carry Corki in a very long time. Very long.
Yeah, but I do see how Corki would work towards that AD carry position, so he is a little bit short on range, but as soon as he gets to level 6, he doesn't really need that auto attack range. He can just poke you from a distance, and the moment you try to trade against him, you're probably going to lose with the power that he has through his scaling procs, through his Manamune. Yeah, his scaling is absolutely fantastic. There are, of course, hyper carries that are pretty good, like the Aphelios, like the Jinx, but the Corki specifically ends up outscaling said 80 carries, and it is a Corki mid. It is going to be a Lux bottom lane. I'm very excited to see what Lux Leona can bring. I was raised in the chaos of the bot lane. You know who invented Sona Tarek back in the day? It was a Portuguese support.
You're not going to say... Oh, I thought you were going to be like, it was me, I'm sorry.
No. It was a Portuguese support, Calmsky. He was playing for Sam Clan Esports back in the day. So, yeah, I'm no stranger to these adaptations of mages and enchanters in the bot side, so we'll see what the Lux Leona can bring.
It's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. And Finry...
There's no in between.
Pays, yeah, there won't be any in between, definitely not. Because if you get hooked by the Nautilus and the Draven's just like, you know what, I'm just going to throw my axes at you, and if Leona can't play that kind of gatekeeper, that bodyguard role, or if it's just not enough, then yeah, the Lux is just gonna die. She's so squishy. You miss your Q, you're gonna die. Finry comes into the bottom lane, you're gonna die. So yeah. I'm very skeptical of this bottom lane Lux until I see it actually working.
That's fair, but also Horizon Focus has suffered a few changes, and it now procs on slows. so she can proc it on her E with the true damage and, of course, the true sight. So it'll be interesting to see how this Lux plays out towards this bot side.
Totally makes it OP.
I do believe she's great into the set hyper carries because of how she acts as an artillery mage to an extent, and how she can actually punish overextensions very, very well. So I don't believe we're going to see the Draven being proactive this game either. I do want to see the Hecarim trying to run over the map and trying to apply as much pressure as possible, but it'll be very hard to do with the disengage that the side of RD Elite actually bring with the Trundle, the Lux, the Leona. It's so easy for them to just gain their distance and use the Corki and the Lux to absolutely decimate the low range in the side of Invulnerables.
And I liked the fact that Lonar has gone with the cleanse as well. I don't think it's going to help too much when you're into a Lux Leona bot lane. But, you know, it'll help in certain situations, like if you get binded by a solo Lux, you're okay, I'm just going to cleanse out this, going to walk away. But if you get Zenith Blade and Solar Flare, then, yeah, you're probably not going to have a good time.
You're probably still dead, even though you do get a little bit of tenacity with the cleanse afterwards. It's probably not going to be great in that regard, but we did see the cleanse being more effective than we expected in the first game because of how it cleansed the exhaust and the ignite. That can also have a lot of value throughout the laning phase, and these summoner spells are vital for what Lux and Leona want to bring in terms of burst. So as long as this cleanse is up, it'll be very, very hard to punish the Draven at every turn. So we'll see exactly how that dynamic works, but I'm very, very excited to see Hecarim as well. I do believe he's been a sleeper OP for a while now. With the Predator changes, he's also been back on the rise, and he can turn back towards the tank items. So we'll see the Turbo Chem Tank. Who knows?
I was just about to say, you're kind of teasing this.
Yeah, Turbo Chem Tank. We saw a few of those during Arcane, and we'll see if we see them in the game itself.
They got slaughtered during Arcane.
Yeah, you know, but Hecarim is a different breed, so we'll see exactly how this item works out, because it is very strong with the discharge that it brings, like kind of a dead man's plate, so the Hecarim will definitely have an increase in power that way.
I think it is worth touching on, while we have a few more seconds left of the Spectre delay, that because Loftician is on this Silas, has to be hunting for those ultimates, and he has several ultimates that are really, really good. The Corki, not so much. You just get some of those rockets. You can just throw them out. Not really going to do very much of anything. But you have the Subjugate from Relic. You have the Noxian Guillotine from the Darius. And then you have, of course, the Lux and the Leona ultimates that are so impactful. Yeah,
I mean, I do agree with the Subjugate. The Noxian Guillotine is a bit hard to pull off because you can't stack the bleed.
Yeah, because you don't have the stack of passive,
exactly. The Corki, of course, it's not great because you get a couple of missiles, and that's not really impactful in the long run. But yeah, the Leona and the Lux could be very strong, especially with the way that the teamfight setup exists in the side of Invulnerables, not only with the Gnar, but also with the Nautilus. It's very easy to hit those final sparks, and also the Solar Flare to start up team fights, to have the follow-up from a Hecarim, from a Gnar, can be absolutely destructive.
And with the fact that it has such insane AP scaling anyway, and you go for a lot of what's it called now? It's not CDR, it's something
ability
else.
Haste.
Ability haste. Thank you. I keep calling it CDR even when I'm playing League. I'm like, oh, it's
Same.
I'm getting all the extra CDR. When a Silas builds so much ability haste as it is, you're just gonna keep on using your ultimate, your hijack, to steal away all these ultimates. And if you can keep playing proactively, you hit that that high ability haste build, you're just gonna keep bopping people and hopefully getting these kills, snowballing, getting further ahead.
I find it interesting now, looking at runes specifically, that we have Lonar on Conqueror instead of Lethal Tempo this time. Lux is not bringing First Strike, she's bringing Arcane Comet, and a Lethal Tempo on Darius and Trundle specifically. The Darius is going to have a hard time actually trading with said Lethal Tempo, but inside of team fights that can be absolutely incredible as we get into the Summoner's Rift. But we'll see if the Trundle can do the same.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on both of those lethal tempos, and it feels like Moon is just playing for that laning phase, as you said, with that Arcane Comet in your back pocket. A little bit of a tidbit just on the Arcane Comet. Apparently, it's a fan theory that is actually a Hex Tech gem. That you know, it's on fire. Is, you know, it's before Jace actually, Jace and Victor stabilized it, and you just throw it and it explodes. That's the theory, the fan theory. And if you look at it, it does look a lot. It does look a lot like that.
It does look like it. I wouldn't say it feels like it.
No, it doesn't.
But,
because
you know,
it would do a lot more damage if it did.
Yeah, it would feel a lot more splody. But yes, it is definitely a theory. A game theory, and that's what matters in the end. Well, in any case, it is a pretty good tool for the Lux to actually play laning phase, even without the first strike. It's very easy for her to proc this Comet, and until tier 2 boots are built, it's impossible to outrun said Comet, especially if she has the slow on her E. If she has the root on her Q, it's very easy to stack that damage up starting in the early game.
So we are just going to focus on this bottom lane for the first couple of seconds. Just be trying to CS this one out, play around the vision. And I was talking to a high-level player a few weeks ago, and he was saying that if you get the vision in that middle bush in the bottom lane, you basically have control over that wave, over that lane as well. So with the early vision put down on the side of Invulnerables, it does give it a little bit of pressure. I
do agree. At the same time, both supports could get the vision in that place, but yes, whoever gets that first usually has the agency in what to do with the wave, and that is very, very important, especially when you're playing with such snowbally champions like the Draven. You get that control, and it's very hard for them to actually, first of all, engage at level 2, and second of all, even try to contest you when it comes to getting to that level 2, so it is impactful. It is a thing that most supports should be aware of, because that usually controls the pace of the first few levels. What also controls the pace is the pathing of the junglers, and right now both junglers are looking towards this bot side. We'll see if either the Trundle or the Hecarim can actually make anything happen. As we see Lonar and Zimba actually shoving, maybe it is time for Relic to actually get behind them, ice door them to death.
Yeah, Xenoblade comes through as well just for the lockdown. Relic is coming in, uses that frozen domain to get onto the support. First blood over to the Draven, looking for Zimbabwe import as well. The double kill for the Draven. Is it going to be a triple kill this early on, 3 minutes into the game? That's going to be a no, but they're going to trade 2 for 1 in the end.
Wow, the fact that the Hecarim also had an idea of what was happening and actually skips his clears to help was definitely the saving grace there for the Draven, who could be in serious trouble after the Lux and the Trundle got the kill on Zimba, but also the resilience of the bot lane from the side of Invulnerables to actually stay, to actually try to get that first blood was very, very important, as Lonar can get caught. Now he has no flash.
Yeah, no flash, no cleanse. Gonna be able to get away, though, as all of the utility goes down onto Zabri import. He will go down.
Okay, I mean, a bit one too many of worthy sacrifices, but at the same time, it is 2 kills on a Draven. He is gonna back right now. Start with a serrated Dirk, which is so good for laning phase specifically, and 138 gold extra that he got from 2 kills will definitely serve him right, as he gets the cull on top of the Dirk, and he will start snowballing like a maniac.
Just like in the last game.
Yeah.
2-0 up, has the coal that he'll start to stack, so in maybe 7-8 minutes time we'll have that fully completed. Just going off of kind of the timers that we saw in the last game. And the fact that you're this distance ahead in the early game versus the Lux, it's gotta feel good.
Yeah, it does, and at the same time, compared to the first game, Lonar didn't really get a head start. He had to get that cull so he could actually have any semblance of a lead in that bot side. And right now, being able to outrun basically a mage is very, very important, because mages can't do anything without items. That is a proven fact. And until this Lux gets her Ludens, until she gets her Shadow Flame, there is no way she can contest the Draven in terms of damage. But what she can contest in is this dragon. It is the Hextech dragon going over towards the side of Rising Dawn, but now they have nowhere to go. They're completely sandwiched.
Yeah, she'll run straight into Finry, and Loftitian uses the hook just to go into the wall.
Never mind.
Bacon, yeah, he's just gonna run his way away. Has to flash to get to safety, otherwise the Abscond Abduct would hit him.
Okay, the Hecarim was a little bit scared in that situation because the Silos went over the wall, and in the end, Invulnerables couldn't complete the sandwich, and the bread will fall over. In any case, that bot lane is still very much in favor of Invulnerables at this point, because Lonar and Zimba still have the item advantage. They still have ways of out-trading at any point in the game, and I don't think this Hextech Drake will make a difference, of course, unless the Soul is Chemtech again. But as we've seen last game, sometimes the Soul doesn't really matter.
Yep, it's not the Soul that wins the battle, it's Heart. Heart is what wins the battle,
Exactly.
and if you have the Heart, then you can win. Hecarim towards his bottom side, zero vision in favor of RDE Light. He's gonna wait around. Bacon gonna get a little bit of vision established in that Tri-Brush, which means that he has to back away.
Yeah, but the Hecarim still wants to go in. The Hex Flash ends up being channeled, so no harm, no foul over towards a Bacon, but Finry is still going to clear this control ward. Probably unscathed. I don't think there's anything Moon can do to actually stop him right now. Well, in the top lane, I mean, it's an island. Both top laners already got their plated steel caps, so trading is virtually impossible to win for either side. And all that's going to happen is the Gnar is eventually going to outscale to an extent with what he can bring to a team fight. And the Darius will be limited to split pushing, and we'll see who can actually contest him in that side lane.
I mean, they're actually just trading health bars, just the exact same amount of damage back and forth as the red buff will be stolen away by Relic. The Subjugate does go down, but who will win the team fight? It's going to be Loftitian picking off the kill, gonna trade 1-for-1. But can they trade any more? Finry, he gets the smite down, he heals up just enough to survive.
That was a level 5 on Finry. He's a bit behind Lonar.
In the bottom lane, Lonar finds a kill. Looking for Bacon as well. Will manage to find the double, the second double of the game for the Draven. He's very much online.
Okay, Dark Soul, I'm so sorry for doubting you. The Lux is not doing anything this game. I don't believe it's Lux's fault, okay? Hopium. But at the same time,
more like copium, my friend.
Yeah, a little bit of hopium to what she can bring in the rest of the game. But you know, at the same time, she was put behind with a play that the junglers ended up making. But 2.2k gold lead for the Draven at this point in the game. He's already marching towards that Shilbo with a serrated Dirk and a Cull on top. That's an absolutely massive advantage for the side of Lonar. While in the top side, I mean, that was a weird play, but in the end, it was a win for Invulnerables. They keep getting away with it, and Rising Dawn just can't play these early games for the life of them.
And the trouble is, you're waiting on your Lux to scale, you're waiting on your Corki to scale. Yeah. You're going to be outscaled to a certain extent by Chaos Senpai on this Gnar in the top side, so we're not really paying that much attention to that matchup. It feels like it's just going to be such a rough game to try and come back into for the side of RDE Light. Yeah,
it is. I mean, they do have the Corki and the Lux. I mean, the Corki, because the Lux is currently looking at a gray screen, but at the same time, I mean, they do want to get towards that late game. They do want to get those item spikes, but Draven is taking over the match. I don't think they'll even manage to try to get to those items because this acceleration is absolutely massive, and it's even a larger lead than it was in Game 1. I have no idea how Rising Dawn will be able to turtle this much, but at the same time, it's kind of the same story. So Invulnerables will still need to know how to close games. It's way easier in this match in particular because their team fighting is actually so obnoxious with the Gnar and the Hecarim. But at the same time, from the side of Rising Dawn, their scaling is also easier to execute, so we'll see how it goes.
Rough stuff for RDE Light. Second Drake of the game is spawning, and that is an Ocean Drake. Feels like as if you can't really contest this for the side of RDE.
Yeah, I don't think they have any chance in doing so. I mean, yeah, they don't have to, especially because they got the first dragon with that Hex deck that gives them the ability haste, it gives them the attack speed, but what they do have is a special kind of package on the bottom of that Earth, and Dragon will fall towards them, but I don't know if they can win the team fight.
Has the smite available, will not be stolen away, but here comes the team fight. The File Spark is used, Finri down to less than a third of his HP, but he will manage to pick off Bolly Bacon, gonna force the flash out Relic just to try and survive. They get one for the Drake.
And that power spike for Corki, the Sorcerer's Shoes, was actually very important in this fight specifically, because the poke being brought down with the big ones was actually important. Not that Lonar was ever in danger, he got his kill, he got away with it, I mean, without much effort, but at the same time, the Corki managed to stop further bloodshed from happening. The dragon does fall towards Rising Dawn. They're halfway through getting that Mountain Soul that can stop most of the burst that can happen from the side of Invulnerables. So there's still a plan B, even if this early game keeps going towards Invulnerable's side.
I'd like to toggle over to the gold and see how much gold that Draven has earned this game, because he has gotten almost every tower plate there. Almost every single one.
Wow, that's a lot of plates that will definitely show up when we get the chance to see that gold, but at the same time, if we just look at the items, that's still a
hell of a
long
power
way
spike
from a crown that the Lux is trying to build at this point, or an Everfrost, we're yet to see, but either way, I don't think this Lux can match any kind of damage that the Draven is bringing. He already has the pickaxe on top of the Serrated Dirk, so Lonar was already destroying the front line in that last fight, and if he gets this last plate, it can be the end of the game for Rising Dawn before it even begins, because even though they do have those ways of picking off the Draven with the Trundle and the Leona specifically, he's still very, very strong, and it's very hard to take him down through the shield bow and through all the team fighting that the rest of his team can actually offer.
And you don't even have objective bounties just yet.
Yeah.
To try and claw your way back into the game. It's almost a 5,000 gold lead now in favor of Invulnerables. Almost all of that, if not all of it, will be in the pocket of Lonar on this Draven. This is why I said maybe you need to ban the Draven if you're not comfortable playing into it. And since it's one of his most played champions of this season, not including the preseason perhaps, but it's one that he's super comfortable on. I think it's worth banning, at least to future opponents.
Yeah, it's definitely his most played champion, his most comfortable champion to an extent. He's showing ability to play different styles as well. On the first game, he was very passive. He had the lethal tempo to try to match the range from the Caitlyn. In this game, he has the Conqueror. He's trying to outlast his opponents in team fights, and Loftician is on the wrong side or the right side of the fight.
We'll have to see in a second. File Spark comes through, and that is a dead Hecarim. Can they get anything else from the fight, though, as Draven finds yet another kill? Now 7-0. Bolly Bacon and Vestige of Eden just locked underneath the tower. The hook is good. The double kill. Yet another double for Lonar. Bolly Bacon has to flash over the wall to try and get the safety, but he is just dead anyway. Loftician will find him and kill him.
Is that the fourth double kill of the game for Lonar? Wow, he doesn't get anything but double kills, so that's interesting as he cleaves his own brother to get towards his fourth double kill of the game. Oh, the Everfrost could be huge. Ends up not being huge because the Silas doesn't have enough damage at this point, but still, incredible dive from the side of Invulnerables as they get the Draven even more ahead. The Collector is finally picked up, even Shroud on the side of Zimbabwe, so that's also a lot of damage coming from the Nautilus as Relic can't even stop his turret from falling in the top side. The whole map is crumbling down, and Rising Dawn are but mere spectators.
Such a huge lead coming in now from Invulnerables, specifically Lonar. He's sitting on, I think it's 4,500 extra gold compared to Moon. Has that Crown of the Shattered Queen finally completed on Moon, so we'll give him a little bit of a power spike there, but not quite enough to make up for this 7-kill deficit and, what, 60 CS deficit?
Yeah, that's a lot of minions, a lot of gold being exchanged between these two bot lane carries to an extent. But yeah, the Crown is definitely not as big of a power spike as Luden's would be. And even though she can't get one-shot by the Draven, she can still watch as the rest of the team gets one-shot, so that's a plus. In any case, the objective bounties are still yet to be seen, even though the gold lead is absolutely in favor of Invulnerables. So all they have to do is keep control and not let these mountain dragons fall towards the enemy team.
So far, they're doing a pretty good job at not letting that mountain drake fall towards RTE Light, because they're taking it themselves.
Yeah.
And Trundle is nowhere near the objective, so we'll just go over uncontested.
Yeah, it does seem like a reasonable choice. That dragon will... I mean, I believe that when it comes to single dragons, the mountain drake has the biggest power because it scales the best out of all the dragons, because you get all those base resistances, you get a lot of items that can help it get even better, and Relic is dead.
It's just dead, I have to assume. It gets the flash life and the Gond Duck, but the Everfrost just catches him out. He's actually surprisingly tanky, surviving a surprisingly long time, but he will eventually fall as Lonar takes a final spark to the face, but with his Immortal Shield Bow, he will survive.
That wasn't really the final spark, that was like the second to last, or something of the sorts, because Lonar does make it out alive. But this mid-prio will be completely uncontested. Relic shouldn't have even been in a position where he needs to walk up to the wave to try to do anything when he has champions like Corki and Lux that can actually safely take care of the waves in that situation. So not only does he lose the wave, he lost the dragon before, he's gonna lose the Herald, and Rising Dawn again can only watch in despair as everything is being taken from them.
Everything and more is being taken from them. They just can't encroach onto this river point or past it whatsoever, and they're lucky to be able to go into their own jungle actually at this point. You have to feel a 7,000 gold lead now for Invulnerables, all on the AD carry, a little bit on their mid laner and their jungler as well. Nar doing exactly what we wanted them to, just being that side lane menace that the Darius has to play into, and it looks like actually the Darius will be playing into Loftition in that top side for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, the Sylas can out-sustain the Darius to an extent, and it's very easy for him to extend trades into the Darius, as the Nar will probably just, yes, outshove the Darius to an extent and stop him from reaching the actual wave, but the Sylas can actually have some kill pressure and make the Darius overextend, and so those are the perks of having the Sylas versus the Gnar on that side lane. But the Gnar will want to group up with his team, while the Darius doesn't really. He wants to play the side lane. The Darius will want this teleport to be able to play the side lane, and as no objectives are in the map, it doesn't make sense as to why he would be on this mid lane, so he will contest the shove from the Sylas on the other side of the map, and we'll see if Invulnerables play around what they have to. They need to start burning teleports, threatening objectives, and trying to get advantages that way to make sure that their path to victory is a little bit easier to pull off than first game.
Well, Loftition is in a little bit of trouble. We'll manage to get away, though. Expected maybe the follow-up there, thanks to the Rift Skull Shrine, but here comes the engage, as the turret will fall. Finnery off to the side. He has his ultimate if he wants to go for the engage. But nope, Relic will just be hit in the face with a brick house. We'll just back away.
That was absolutely beautiful, because, okay, the Darius runs away, okay. Because, yes, the dredge line was stopped by the ice pillar, but Gnar used the pillar to stun Trundle. and that was interesting. If the Subjugate hadn't come out, it would have been an easy kill, but the Trundle is too tanky, and the turret is the only thing that Invulnerables get in this mid lane. They also get the tier 2 in the top side, and poor Shirley will be left to her own devices.
It's okay, Shirley. You did your job. Oh, you did it well. That's 3 towers in 1 push. 2 in the mid lane, 1 in the top side. That's a heck of a push coming out from Invulnerables. Almost at a 10,000 gold lead again in this game. And once you reach that 10,000 gold deficit, we have seen RDE Light come online, claw their way back into the game. It's not over yet from them.
Definitely not over, because the Draven didn't even go for Infinity Edge, but at the same time, I do think the LDR is very good here. I usually argue a lot against Collector, but I wanted to see what he would bring afterwards, because Collector with LDR is actually surprisingly good, because of the way that armor penetration works. The percentage armor pen is counted before the flat pen from the lethality, which means that the Collector will be good even into heavy armor, as long as you have that percentage armor pen first. So the 2 items combined are extremely good, plus the true damage of that 5% execute that the Collector gives. Also, the way that it works, it will let Draven get more last hits, because it's easier to last hit when there is an execute on the enemies, which means he will cash in even more adoration stacks, and it's just a lovely time for the Draven overall, especially when there are so many steel caps. This Infinity Edge wouldn't be good enough even at 60% crits.
Well, he can go for an Infinity Edge next item if he so pleases, and it will finish off that 60% crit that is needed to use the passive of the Infinity Edge. But it will be the second break of the game, going over to the side of Invulnerables, giving them that extra mountain resistance that they really just are doing to try and deny it from RDE Light. But also, you know, it's good to have that in your repertoire.
Yeah, stacking 4 Mountain Drakes can be very tough for the side of Rising Dawn, because, well, yes, the Darius does deal true damage, and the Trundle can remove resistances, but they are not heavy teamfighting champions. It's very hard for them to actually turn teamfights on their own. Of course, Darius has that potential, but he does need the setup or the enemy team to walk into him, while the Corki will want to poke, the Lux will want to poke. And if there's a huge shield and a lot of resistances on the other side, this poke is a lot harder to deliver. That's why the Lux is already going towards the Void Staff, a second item, and this Corki, even though he has his mixed damage, will have a hard time going through the mixed resistances from the other side.
Yeah, definitely a good adaptation of the item build there, I think, from Moon. Even though he's still so far behind, it's going to be really, really difficult to try and make any impact on the game. And they're going to start off on the Baron, force Corki to rotate over while Silas pushes in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I don't think there's a chance for this still to happen, but there is a ward, and it is not under the effect of the control ward, so they are able to be pushed out, Invulnerables, while Rising Dawn keep control of this Baron side. But big adaptation from the side of Invulnerables. They don't overcommit to the Baron. They have Lofty on the other side of the map getting his own turret.
Well, they've had 3 Barons stolen away from them. They really don't want to go aggressively over it and risk a steal. But Zimbabwe has been caught out. He has his flash and he wants to use it. He thinks that he's dead to rights here. Will use it in the end. Actually, a bit of a bizarre turn of events there coming out from the support of the Invulnerables, and that gives them the liberty to start off onto this Baron. The teleport, as you said, is coming in. Will that force him away as Chaos Senpai is on his own? Uses the Nara ultimate, misses completely. He just goes onto the Baron on his own. And Lonar, he is legendary on this Draven. 9-0 and 3 left. Tishan finally finds the kill in the fight, finally finds something. We'll get a double kill now as the rest of the team trying to mop up the side of RDE Light. Relic, he's on to Fenrir as the teleport now being challenged from Chaos Senpai. Vestige of Eden, he's off to the top. He's on his own in no man's land. He's underneath the tower. Gotta keep an eye on him as he's gonna try and get the execute. He will manage to find it, and now it's just Relic on his own, and they start off on the Baron.
And they wanted to get the Trundle because that would be the only way that they lose this Baron at this point. But even without getting him, this Baron is more than dead. Zimba had an unfortunate moment there with his flashes. He could have used it earlier to flash over the wall. He ends up not doing so, and it costs his life, but Lonar was playing front to back. The Draven was hitting absolutely everyone. The Sylas is out of control at this point as Loftician isn't as much of a sitting duck as he was on the Vex, so he can actually out-sustain most of the damage that is being brought towards him, and the team fight was ultimately very well executed from the side of Invulnerables as they get their Baron Nashor, and as the bounties for objectives are finally on the map.
That gives some breathing room for RDE Light, in theory. It gives them the opportunity to come back into the game, even though they're, once again, 10, 11,000 gold behind, 12,000 actually, almost there. Yeah, if you get cut out in your own jungle like that, it's going to be even harder. Relic has to flash away. He's burning down. Just a little bit more just to try and finish him off. Beautiful Lux shield there just to make sure he can get out.
One last tick of the Subjugate was all that was needed for the Trundle to go down. Ends up not happening, but it really doesn't matter because the turret is crumbling as we speak. But the Hecarim is caught.
Hecarim, he has been caught out. Moon finds his second kill of the game, and that gives them a little bit more room to breathe, a little bit more room to try and push back these invaders, these subjugators, these whatever you want to call them, these siegers on the side of Invulnerables. They will back out and prepare for the strike instead.
These pillagers. I think that's
they are pillaging the jungle, to be fair.
Yeah,
yep.
They're pillaging the jungle, the turrets, they're just pillaging absolutely everything. They're leaving nothing behind for Rising Dawn to even try to attempt to get. And the dragon is spawning. The Baron Nashor is still present. The gold lead is 12k at this point, but Lonar is a bit feisty with his positioning.
Yeah, just a little bit, but he does have the Emerald Shield bow to heal back up, but not as much as in the last game. Mountain Drake will be started off by the side of RDE. Light has to be contested by the side of Invulnerables. They don't have their jungler. They don't have the smite. He's coming in from the side. Will not be enough. The objective bounty goes over the side of RDE. Light uses the ultimate, but is it going to be enough to try and take the team fight? So far, the answer is yes. They'll manage to find 2, make that 3 kills in this fight, and that means they can push up towards the middle lane.
And this time, the Gnar was executed perfectly compared to the first fight, because it was used in the middle of the hop instead of the end of it. And everyone was thrown against the walls. The team fight was won, even though the dragon was secured by the side of Rising Dawn Esports Light. And the base is being barreled towards. I don't think Invulnerables will let this game slip away.
I do not think that there is any world with Doctor Strange having his future-seeing powers. There's 14 million scenarios in which Invulnerables will win this game and win this series. There is one in which we go to game 3, and that is not the game we were seeing in front of us today.
Yeah, it seems like they are way more decisive with their leads, and they know exactly where to apply them. They have a very easy to execute team comp when it comes to team fights, which wasn't the case in the first game. So I guess ease of execution helps to an extent, and they just don't seem to get their foot off the gas. The moment Lonar got ahead, the Draven became a problem, and I guess it was warranted a ban in the end, and I guess they weren't prepared to deal with the Draven. The Lux isn't working in their favor, and this Hecarim has the entirety of the jungle under his control to run however he so pleases and to threaten any lives that dare enter his domain.
He's just kind of chilling there, just spamming the recall, just showing, I know you can see me, but you can't with the control word, but he could before he put it down. So they just go barrel down this top lane instead. Yeah, don't question it. Okay.
I'm not questioning. Go ahead.
Just go barrel down this top lane, try and defend this Draven, make sure that he is deathless going out of this game. The Ice Pillar goes down, just trying to sustain, trying to wait there, trying to survive this push coming out from Invulnerables. And so far, it has to feel like it is the death march coming in from them.
It does feel like it, because this time they have both inhibitors down so they can push the third lane, which was what they were trying to do in game 1.
Nice amount of damage from the Lux actually there. Forces the ultimate out of Finri.
Oh.
Gets the back off from Chaos Senpai and co. So just gonna reset 1 minute until the Baron. They might just go for that and go for the end.
Okay, that's interesting. Again, Rising Dawn are playing very well towards their strengths. They get a pick off with the Light Binding that actually forces Invulnerables out of that last stand of the top side with that last inhibitor. But that's fine. They have more than enough time to come back into the map with even more gold, with even more items to try to overwhelm their opponents. I would like to see Loftician trying to get that Magi as soon as possible. It feels like he's sitting on those 3 items in the 10-stack Dark Seal for a while now. I guess he's just trying to get a little bit more gold before he can actually finish anything else. But as soon as he gets that Magi's, I don't think there's any stopping this Silas, as the Baron is now spawning on the Rift.
I don't think there's anything you can really do to stop him at this point. Anyway, as you said, Baron has spawned. You're going to have to try and stop them from taking this, but you're not even going to make your way over if you are on the side of Rising Dawn Esports Light. You're just going to go towards this Drake pit, trying to establish some vision for the Mountain Soul, which is available to them in the next minute or so. That Baron goes down. It feels like the death knell, the last nail in the coffin that they need to try and close this one out.
It does feel like so, because Rising Dawn are still preoccupied with the 2 waves, constantly pushing with super minions, and a 5-stack right now of Invulnerables on that top side should be enough to take down the turret, even if they take a while with those siege minions, and the 3rd inhibitor could be that very last nail in the coffin, as you mentioned. So we'll see if they can actually get past this package from the Corki. It has the power to turn games. I have seen it happen before, but it will take an enormous overextension from the side of Invulnerables for that to actually happen.
And you do get your second cast of the Valkyrie once you use your package, but I don't think it'll be enough, especially as the 3rd inhib will fall. One of the Nexus towers falls to Loftician as well, and it feels like they're just going to bleed completely out of this game here, looking for the last ditch stand, the last the Almo almost here for the side of RDE Light.
Oh, there it
goes the ultimate from Finry. They're gonna try and close this one out with style. Keep Loner alive. He cannot go down. He's 11-0. He is legendary. 12-0, 13-0. This man cannot be stopped, and neither can Invulnerables. They are invulnerable as they take the series 2-0.
And this second game was so much more dominating from the side of Invulnerables. They actually managed to close it out. They actually managed to not lose the objectives. They actually managed to snowball. And in the end, that was their plan all along. The damage was absolutely absurd from most people on the side of Invulnerables, actually topping the charts even with the Gnar, racking in at over 10,000 damage. So that was just an incredible performance, an incredible showing. It was a little bit shaky on the first game, but for entertainment's sake, I don't think anyone is disappointed.
I don't think anyone is disappointed with that. That was a beautiful 2-0 from Invulnerables, and I am just shocked that Lux did the most damage on the side of Rising Dawn Esports Light, by the way. It wasn't the Corki. I genuinely thought it would be the Corki, even though his KD didn't really speak to the amount of damage that he did. I guess with the poke, especially with the siege coming in from Invulnerables towards the end, got a lot of Vital Sparks off, got a lot of Qs and Es with the combo that you normally expect from a Lux. So it wasn't the worst pick I've ever seen in the bottom lane, but definitely not what I would have expected going into a Draven main.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, theoretically, you can punish the Draven because when it comes to skill shots, they're the easiest to hit when you know where your opponent is going to be.
Yeah,
and if the Draven is always going to be on the axis, so it's very easy to land those light bindings, but it just never seemed to happen. The game was over from level 2 with the gank that got Draven 2 kills, and then on, the Lux never really showed up, so I'm disappointed that she didn't show up, but I don't think this is enough of a sample size to rule it out.
Yeah, I think you'd need a few more games kind of in that matchup, or at least with Lux in the AP carry position to really say whether it's good or bad. But true. I'm kind of warning teams, please do not pick it up just because you saw RDE Light play it. It doesn't mean that it's good. Don't first pick it, please. I mean, Yeah, please just don't, because they'll
Yeah,
expect
I
it to be
agree.
mid, and then you put it in the bot lane, and then you're like, okay, I'm stuck with this in the bottom lane. Then you saw what happened. But very well done for Invulnerables. They will move forward in the league. I think RDE Light are out now, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
with the
there.
format of the league. So it wasn't a repeat of what we saw in the seeding tournament, where it was actually RDE Light that came out the victors. Definitely very convincing wins in the end for Invulnerables, even though it was very back and forth in the first game.
Yeah, I do agree. Invulnerables ended up being the clear superior team, even if the first game was extremely close. But yeah, now they actually managed to stay in this competition in the end, and they will be fighting against Lundqvist Darkside on the next stage, which is probably one of the favorites to win it all. So we'll see exactly how they do in that regard. But the matter of fact is, they do seem to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I think it'll be a very interesting series actually to watch, because both these teams, as you said, Lundqvist, they are the favorites to win, and then we saw how dominating Invulnerables were against Rising Dawn Esports Light. So whether that is to speak to their caliber or how good of a team they are, I'm not sure, because it did look like as if Rising Dawn Esports Light did have a lot of vulnerabilities, but I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on that matchup to see who comes out on top. But that will be it from us for today. Join us for more leagues.gg Winter Showdown action here very, very soon. Have a good night.